Welcome to the Magdalene Voices, giving voice to those silenced for centuries through sacred conversations with beautiful, illuminating souls, and insightful inspiration to nourish every cell of your body, every fiber of your being, every aspect of your soul and existence through lifetimes past, present, and future. I'm your host, spiritual business coach, mentor, catalyst, and facilitator, Maria Saraphina. I serve soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneurs, Magdalene Rising, and radiant beings just like you with the expansion and growth of yourself and your business. Aligning you with your deep inner truth, bringing to life that which you're here to birth, and supporting you in expressing your soul's divine purpose through your being and your doing in this lifetime. If you haven't already, I highly encourage you to join my newsletter to stay connected and updated. You can do so on my website, mariasaraphina.com, where you can also find previous episodes and their show notes. And if you have ever wondered about your Magdalene connection and calling, and whether you are a Magdalene, I invite you to download the free Magdalene blueprint I've created for you. Go to mariasaraphina.com/AYM to get it. Before we dive into today's episode, I am super excited to let you know that the Golden Grid for the Magdalene Rising, my monthly membership immersion, is opening its doors on June 21st, and that our journey together begins on August 1st. The Golden Grid is for you who, as a Magdalene Rising, whether a grid keeper, activator, or anchor, want to lift the veils. Not only to support you in remembering who you are in truth and allowing the deepest understanding of who you are and what you came to be and do, but also for you to recognize it with every cell of your body, every fiber of your being, every aspect of your soul, and to merge your divine feminine and divine masculine essences as well as their shadow aspects, so that you may, through whom you have chosen to be in this lifetime, be part of the unveiling, awakening, transformation, and healing of all, lifting the frequency and vibration of our realm, personally and collectively. If these words speak to your heart and to your soul, go to mariasaraphina.com/TGG to find out more and join the waitlist. You can also find the link in the description. With today's episode, as always, I encourage you to listen with an open heart and an open mind and take only what serves you and leave the rest. Know that show notes, transcripts, and previous episodes can be found on my website. Here is today's episode. Hello, Radiant One, and a very big and a very warm welcome into this episode in which we are going to be covering some topics that are near and dear to my heart. And it's also topics that I think and I know that part of them actually triggers people. So if you've been called here, I encourage you to listen with an open heart and an open mind. Take only what serves you, leave the rest, and stick with it, or at least let yourself be guided throughout this. So the topic for today is discipline, devotion, and hard work. And before I named it hard work, I was actually going back and forth with myself thinking, should I maybe call it something else? Will this be deterring people? Will it turn people off? And then I decided, fuck that. I said to myself, no, because I think that there is this misconceived notion about quote unquote hard work or doing the work, that the work is supposed to be easy. And also as I sat preparing for this episode, and I sat with the notion of hard work, what also came up for me is that part of that hard work, quote unquote, is actually what I consider to be a mind fuck from ego. It is a way of keeping you from doing the work that you know are, quote unquote, required, or you know that is needed, that you know that is the work that will serve the highest of you and the highest for all. And so being triggered by hard work can simply be a way of putting up a shield, setting up a wall, and being like, yeah, I'm not going to listen to that because I believe that everything should just be rosy and dandy and flowy and all of those things, which I want to say they can be. Because what I have found, and in my experience, what I see in the work that I do with my clients and Magdalene's Rising, is that as we do the work, as we do the hard work thus then becomes less and less. It becomes, because as you choose love, as you expand your heart and you grow and expand from within, you have that place within you, that stillness, that vibrant, powerful, strong place within and without you. It's literally, that's your field, that's your energy field. Then the work becomes, quote unquote, less and less hard, because you understand how important it is, and you have the tools and the tools necessary to do the work, and you stop seeing it as being hard work and instead move into an understanding of how necessary that work is. And that is whether or not you're at the beginning of your journey, or whether or not you're at the middle of I was going to say end of your journey, but whether or not you've been walking your path and this path for a very long time. I'm sure that you'll recognize that there's still, quote unquote, more work to be done. And even the word work has been like, oh, we're not supposed to, like, it's supposed to be like, it's not work. I call my work, I call it, like, every week when I do my downloads for the week, I call it love work, because I love work. Like, I love that expression of who I am in truth as a Magdalene, as a catalyst, and as a facilitator, as a spiritual business coach. I love that expression of it. I love what is moved through me into this world, what is manifested through me into this world. I love seeing how that work is then multiplied and amplified by the clients that I work with, and how that is rippled out into the world. And that all stems from the love I am, from the love you are. And that has come through some tough, hard work, dark moments, rude awakenings, which I would not be without. And in my both in the sacred conversations that I have with, Magdalene's Rising, or Magdalene's beautiful Magdalene's here on this show, but also that I do in the Spiritual Business Show and podcast, where I sit in sacred conversation with successful spiritual entrepreneurs, and they share that even to the level of their success, there's still more, and it is still sometimes hard. And because there is more layers to be uncovered, there's more veils to be lifted, and it's not always that we go into that, bouncing into it. There's times that we're being dragged into it because we're kicking and screaming, because we understand we know that that's where our heart highest, but it is still hard work. So I think I've harped on enough about hard work. Truth be told, in my notes and everything that I had, I did not know that I was going to be starting out saying this much about hard work. But I guess now it's done. And if you're still sticking, hey, I love you. And then let's go into the other things that I have on my heart today, which is discipline and devotion. I want to say that the discipline and devotion, as well as work, maybe not hard work, but work, is part of the Magdalene Rising that is opening its portals on the equinox, June 21st. And we begin on July 1st, 2020. Depending on when you're listening to this, the doors may or may not be opened, but I encourage you to join the I don't want to say waiting list, but the waiting room, because we only open the doors every 3 to 6 months. And so if that's something you want to be part of, you can go ahead and join the waiting room at mariasarafina.com/the golden grid. Back to discipline. Discipline is, and the notion of discipline is something that I've been reflecting upon for a while, because it's one of those, again, I think, misconceived notions of what discipline is. As a Magdalene Rising, as a soul spirit having a human experience, this is not your first rodeo. And so, as a Magdalene, you have come back over and over and over and over again to be of service, to expand and grow from within, to allow your heart to lead, you're allowing love to lead, allowing love to be your way. And so you recognize discipline, you understand the importance of discipline, and you may be like someone who's consider yourself to be very undisciplined or not wanting discipline. However, and I do believe that discipline in our world, and especially within the spiritual community, for a long time has been very shamed or not, have been looked at as something, I don't want to say bad, but like has not been looked at with a very kind heart, which I understand. Because if we do look at some of the disciplines or the practices that have been put into place, they can be extremely strict and very rigid, which is to me part of the shadow realm. Like that's where our divine feminine and our divine masculine veers into their shadow selves. It becomes rigid and it becomes in a way that is very not even non-negotiable, but very rigid, very structured and organized, to the point where there's like, it's so constraining that it is not serving you. It is the discipline within that is not serving you, nor is it serving the highest of all. It is a way of control. It is a way of control of human beings, of the planet, of Earth, of every kingdom that is within Earth and beyond. So it is a controlling discipline. And that's not the kind of discipline that I am talking about. And also, if I want to say that, please notice what comes up for you as I move through this, because what I also see is that very often, again, there is what I call mindfuck from ego. It's like, oh, like, what is this? Like, I don't need this. I don't want this. I can do this. And oftentimes that is what self-sabotage. It is putting up a veil. It is hindering your sight. It is covering up like your path. And so if you're here listening, I would say that there's part of you that's probably being called towards some sort of discipline. Now, the kind of discipline that I am talking about is a flexible yet non-negotiable discipline that both uplift you and it serves you, and it serves and uplifts the highest of all and those that you are potentially here to serve. What has been lost in the rigidity is how important it is for you. And that is part of the Magdalene Rising. It's part of the reclamation of you assuming your power, you assuming your place, you assuming your leadership of yourself and perhaps others in service. Is that it is important to find the discipline or the structure that works for you. I say this over and over and over again whenever I work with my clients, that I have, and we have, and I'm sure that you have a toolbox filled with a plethora of magnificent, brilliant tools. And it is for you to find out, you to discern, you to remember, meaning re-putting together what serves you the most, what serves you the highest, and thus the highest of all as well. So that maybe it is, a practice of dance, and there's discipline in that. If it's, essential oils or meditation or rituals, and it's about you putting those pieces together into the way that serves you. So I, as your coach, your guide, your mentor, your catalyst, and your facilitator, can guide you towards these different things. But ultimately, it is for you to be putting them together into the whole that serves you. I will share in the show notes. I will share, because I saw this. It was a brilliant post on Instagram by the darling Julie Suzanne Parker, who we've had on the Magdalene Voices. I will link to her episode. And she was also, or is also coming, I'm not sure at the time of this recording whether it will be out or whether it will be coming out, but I will be linking to that in the show notes as well. I had her on the Spiritual Business Show and podcast as well, where she talked about the evolution of her business and spirituality and a whole bunch of things. However, she shared on Instagram how she had been struggling with creating a morning practice. She was not, quote unquote, lacking discipline. She knew that she wanted to have in place a discipline, like she wanted to have in place a practice that serves her. However, the idea and the notion of a morning practice, simply she could not make that work for her. What she had discovered through discernment, through experimenting, through testing and trying, was that I think it was her early afternoons was the time that was the best for her to be doing her rituals, to be connecting, to doing all of those things. And that is such a brilliant example of how don't follow what someone else says blindly, whether it is me or someone else. Never ever do that. Discern, check in, see what, does it resonate with you? How does it resonate? Is it in a different form? Does it need to be in this shape or in that shape to make it yours? And again, that was back to when I work with clients, that's what I do. I tell them, here are all the different tools. This is the way you could be doing it, or that is the way that you could be doing it. These are but ultimately it is up to you, because only you know your truth. Personally, I have a morning practice. For me, that is my time in the morning. I usually get up 2 to 3 hours before I ever see clients or ever start doing any other work. I am moving through my practices, and they shift and they change. I work with crystals, and I read sacred texts. I journal. I write. I have these different rituals that I go through, and my mornings are sacred to me, and that's what works for me. But that might not be what works for you. Maybe it is the nighttime, or it is the like Julie, the afternoon, or again. It's about you finding what works for you. And I say it's so important, because to me that's part of the reclamation of your power, is to abandon quote unquote the teachers, to take what serves you, and I mean this with heart. Take what serves you and leave the rest, and expand through that in love and in service. I really hope that makes sense. And having that discipline, that repeating discipline, then moves you into devotion. I have shared this many times, that when I first started doing the work of choosing love, I had the notion that angels, heavens would open, angels would descend, rose petals would be strewn, and my life would just be bliss, because I had chosen love and I was choosing love. And if you've heard me before, you will know that that's not what happened, and I dare to say that that's probably not the experience that you have either. It is the universe responding, or God responding with, I hear you, darling, my love, and I will support you with everything that I have in you choosing love. So here is everything that is not of love, both within you and without you, for you to transmute through your magnificent, wonderful, loving being. And so you go through a lot of shit. And that moves you into devotion. Doing that work then moves you into devotion, into a falling in deep, deep love, into a love that is beyond this world, into a joy and satisfaction that is beyond this world, that I cannot describe with my human existence. I hope that that is something that you recognize, and I know that while it might be a small grain within you that recognizes that, or it may be you're just sitting there going yes, 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 doing chest bumps and high fives. Know that if you're not there, or you're not sensing or hearing or seeing that, that is a possibility for you. And that is probably what called you into this specific episode. Because that, while you may not see it, while you may not hear it, while you may not know it or listen or anything, see it, it's still there. And right now I'm feeling called to share, for some reason, when I realized that that was an opportunity or a possibility, I was, it's now, I don't know, 15 more years ago, 14 years, many years ago, when I was on my bathroom floor crying because I was so dark, I was so depressed, I was so unhappy, even though I had everything that you're supposed to have in the world. I had a great job, I was being paid a shit ton of money, great friends, great colleagues, brilliant apartment, car, company card, traveling, clothes, literally everything that the world tells you that you're supposed to have and then be happy, I had. And I wasn't happy. And every night I would come home and I would just cry myself to sleep. I was so unhappy. And my moment of realizing that there was another way for me was on my bathroom floor. I was crying my eyes out again. And then I realized that there was a part of me that was completely at peace, completely silent. Something at that time I thought was outside of myself, watching me, watching this ball on the floor, like this mess on the floor that was just blubbering and crying her eyes out. And I sensed or heard or saw that peace, felt that peace, and I knew that that was what I wanted. And over the years since, that piece of me has moved from being outside of myself to being within myself, to being all of me all the time. And that's not to say that I am happy all the time. Well, 99.9% of the time I am truly happy. I do have moments of like, still, but they are moments where before they were months and weeks and days, now they rarely last more than a few hours, if that long. And that's because of the discipline, the hard work, and then ultimately the devotion that I have had committing myself to this. And I don't know why I was meant to share that story again with you. I trust that there is someone out there, that you who's sitting here watching or listening to this, who needed to hear that again, or maybe for the first time. And it reminds me of one of my favorite quotes of Yeshua, of Jesus, is that when he said, "What I can do, you can do." And that is one of the principles that I live my life with as a spiritual business coach, as a guide, catalyst, and facilitator, mentor, is that I am always showing you what's possible. Whether or not you choose to walk that path is up to you. I am always ever sharing what I have gone through myself, the work that I have done, so that you might know what is possible for you. And it is possible. I know that it's possible because of the shit that I've gone through, the work that I've done. I am not quote unquote special in any way, shape, or form more than you are special. We all come from the same source. We are all united. And so that is possible for you. What I can do, you can do. I'm checking in to see this work is what I have found to be the most liberating and freeing work that there is, because in doing that work you are setting yourself free. And the more of us across the globe that are setting ourselves free, the more that light is spread, the more that fire is spread, the more that joy, that satisfaction is spread, the more permission is given to everyone else surrounding you to be living in that same space and that same state. Now, you may or may not know that I am about to soon be opening the doors to a temple for Magdalene Rising, a space that I am calling or have been called to name the Golden Grid, because we as Magdalenes come from every religion, every background, every gender, every non-gender, every type of sexuality, every type of belief and background, every type of color, every type of starseed, soul being. And we have been called into this work, the way of the heart, the way of love, to grow and expand from within. And I have been called to reassemble the Golden Grid that is going to be spanning the globe, forming, linking us together, so that we might once again come together and serve truth, alignment, and union of all, to serve the elevation of the frequency and the vibration of this realm and the realms beyond, to not only be the midwives of the new paradigm, but to be the ones that are anchoring it in through our being and our doing in this lifetime. And if that is calling you, then the waiting room, the outer sanctuary of the temple, where we will be sitting together waiting, has been opened. And you can go ahead and join that waiting room on mariasarafina.com/the Golden Grid. And then once the doors or the gateways, the portal opens to the Golden Grid on June 21st, 2020, my favorite day of the year, the summer equinox on the Northern Hemisphere, you can join us. And we begin lighting up the chain, the Golden Grid, on July 1st, 2020. Depending on when you listen to this, the doors may or may not be open, because the grid, the access to that grid will only be opened either every 3rd or 6th months, depending on when we're at, on the equinoxes and the solstices. I am checking in to see if there is anything else that I want to share with you in terms of discipline, devotion, and hard work. It is done. It is done. It is done. It is done. It is, as always, my ultimate prayer that this might serve you. And if you're being called to join us in the Golden Grid, I look forward to seeing you there. My dear, dear Magdalene, I love you. Take care. Radiant One, I hope today's episode served you well. For all the deeds and details, click the link in the description. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with the world so that the love shared within this episode through our connection may ripple further out into the world. I love you. God bless.